a heavyweight railway crane capable of lifting the equivalent of 4 double-decker buses.
It's so heavy it has to go in 2 halves. Baggy wheels up.
Can a team move this Goliath more than 270 miles without it smashing into traffic?
This person's nearly going to crash into you.
An antique steam locomotive weighing in at a staggering 70 tons.
God, it's a bit of a rough one, this one, isn't it?
Can a crew haul this fragile relic 60 miles cross-country without wrecking its delicate frame?
Something not right with this thing, definitely. Whatever happens, we can't stop on this hill.
The teams must battle torrential storms.
This is wonderful weather for ducks.
Can you get out of that?
Tight turns.
I don't want to pull that tyre off this first axle this side. Just keep your eye on it.
And a grand David and Goliath battle.
Put a spanner under it. I can't.
To deliver these enormous engines on time.
Come on, move out the way.
A titanic task, even for the world's toughest train truckers. In the heart of the beautiful Dorset countryside, thousands of people are gathering for a spectacular once-a-year event, a massive steam fair.
The Great Dorset Steam Fair is one of the biggest events of its sort in the south of England. People come to see steam working in fun fairs, in steam-powered road vehicles.
The Great Dorset Steam Fair sprawls over a 600-acre site and runs for 5 days. The event attracts the largest collection of vintage steam machines seen anywhere in the world. From steam-powered tractors and miniature railways to steam-driven pipe organs and carousels.
Great Dorset Steam Fair tends to be a bit of a Marmite event. A lot of people absolutely love it, and some other people don't like it for some reason.
The event is missing one major attraction, a show-stopping steam locomotive. 60 miles away at this heritage railway in Hampshire, a team is preparing the perfect engine to deliver to Dorset to wow the crowds. The British Rail Standard 5 Classic Steam Locomotive. This huge engine is 12 meters long and weighs 70 tons and is steeped in history. The engine was built in Britain in the 1950s. It blazed a trail on the London, Midland and Western Railway lines during 12 years of service. The design of the engine was based on Britain's most successful locomotive, the LMS Black 5. The Standard 5 moved freight and passengers at speeds reaching 100 miles per hour, making it one of the most versatile and economic locomotives of its time.
The Standard 5 was designed to be capable of express work, fast-fitted freights. They were just good, rugged, simple machines.
But today, this once loved and celebrated locomotive is in need of a serious overhaul and has been abandoned to rust in the railway's yard. Operations manager Richard Bentley is in charge of running and maintaining this line's vintage fleet.
Here we go, this is 73096, the BR Standard 5. She was built 1955, worked from Manchester there for a while, and then finished up in 67. Came here, I think, in 1985 and was restored over the next 10 years, and then did quite a lot of work for us on the main line. You know, an awful lot of people got to enjoy seeing her around on the network. The Standard 5 is tucked away at the moment because she's waiting for an overhaul. It's always sad to see an engine laid up, cold. It's like seeing an engine in a museum. It's not the same as seeing an engine working, living, breathing.
Richard hopes that showcasing the Standard 5 at the Steam Fair could help raise funds to restore this historic railway relic.
It's a good way of raising awareness of the engine and maybe raise a bit of awareness towards the overhaul.
With no working engine, the only way to deliver the locomotive to the Steam Fair is by road. 130 miles north in the Midlands.
Ali's heavy-haulage.
Family-run firm Ali's are experts in transporting heavyweight locomotives, old and new.
Ali's heavy-haulage, we do specialise in moving abnormal loads. Our main day-to-day bread and butter is moving rolling stock. Anything that you wouldn't expect to be on the road, we can move it.
But hauling this fragile engine will be no easy feat.
It can be more difficult. Going into the Dorset Steam Fair, if it's been raining, it's very boggy, so that can cause us a few issues. So we're fingers crossed for a dry one this year.
The team will need to ensure they pick the best trucks and crew to make this journey a success. They have just 48 hours to deliver the engine so it arrives in time for a grand steam parade at the fair. Operations manager Richard Bentley's first job is to haul the delicate locomotive to a clear area of track 3 miles down the line, where the trucking crew can load it onto a trailer.
We'll move it down onto the pit in a while and just have a good look round and make sure all the running gear's all free.
Richard calls in a heavy-duty diesel engine to help pull the rusty relic. Before the 3-mile shunt, a quick pit stop to oil it up.
We just want to make sure that none of the bearings run dry, run warm, cause any damage to the crank pins or the bearings. Usual story, 50p's worth of oil will save you 500 quid's worth of bronze.
With the old joints greased, tomorrow the nail-biting shunt can begin.
So I'm just checking all the brakes are released and everything's all fit to go.
This journey is the furthest the Standard 5 has moved in years. To ensure she doesn't seize up, Richard takes it nice and slow.
Certainly at 10 mile an hour you get more chance to see the scenery and the wildlife.
As Richard pulls into the pickup point, the trucking crew are struggling to turn their 26-metre-long train-hauling mega-trailer into the rail yard.
Want a bit more lock on now.
Ian Bagladi leads today's monster move. With 37 years' experience, he is one of Ali's most trusted drivers.
Oh, I love it. I like holding people up. The more traffic, the better.
This job is too big for one man alone. So Ian's right-hand man, Jamie Turnbull, is here to lend a hand.
We don't have to worry about the cars behind us. As long as we keep going, we don't mind about them.
Ian and Jamie now have just 6 hours to haul the 63-year-old engine 60 miles west to the Great Dorset Steam Fair. The most direct route would take them through narrow country lanes, which are too tight for a truck of this size. So the team must take a longer route that passes through wider roads, which will add more time and miles to the journey. First challenge, haul the engine onto the trailer.
We just need to find out which way the loco's going to come to us so we know which way to set the trailer so we can start loading.
Ian needs to position the trailer precisely in line with the tracks to load the engine. But the combined length of the truck and trailer is nearly 27 meters. Navigating this giant is a challenge. To help, the trailer is equipped with a sophisticated remote control system. This steers the front and rear wheels independently from the back, giving Jamie a perfect line of sight to precisely line up the trailer. Just as they gear up to load,
The wonder lead's not working at the moment.
the trailer's remote steering control fails.
We've got a power loss on wonder lead for steering the back of the trailer.
Nothing.
Jamie has no option but to use control levers at the front end of the trailer to steer the wheels manually.
I'll have to steer it off the neck of the trailer. Someone will have to watch me at the back instead of doing it on my own. Makes it a little bit harder, but it's all right.
Go on, easy going, man.
Hey, you driver, Sordy.
After a rocky start, the engine and trailer are lined up. The next challenge is to load up the vintage locomotive.
Just disconnecting the neck from the trailer so we can build the ramp and get it winched on.
To do this, Ian and the team will first need to build a ramp from the trailer right down to the rails and support it with heavy wooden blocks. Next, they will attach a winch cable to the back of the 70-ton locomotive to haul it up the ramp onto the trailer. The ramp must be level and supported, or it could buckle under the weight and cause irreparable damage to the engine.
Back a touch. Forward.
Yeah.
There's no high-tech way to build this ramp. Just pure muscle power.
He's off in the old overalls. Need much more here or not?
No, I think we're just about there, mate.
It's 10:30 a.m. The team need to work fast to load the engine to avoid getting caught in rush hour traffic.
Yeah, Richard, the fill on the 08, yeah, all clear to start pushing back towards the ramp. Over.
God, it's a bit of a rough one, this one, isn't it?
They attach the winch cable
Lovely.
and begin to pull. Can the ramp take the weight of this hefty locomotive?
I would just be watching out to make sure the wheels stay on the line and nothing's kicking out anywhere, no wood's moving.
All eyes are on this precarious maneuver. One wrong move, and this vintage engine will miss the grand steam parade. They have less than 6 hours to transport it 60 miles to the Great Dorset Steam Fair.
How far back you putting it in?
Yeah, keep going.
Rolling it.
It takes all morning to load and secure the engine.
Excellent job. Yeah, the engine went on absolutely beautifully. So it's all tied down and ready to go off to Great Dorset Steam Fair.
Before they can hit the open road, they need to navigate this huge load out of the yard. Luckily for Jamie, the trailer's rear wheel remote control has sprung back to life.
Good luck, keep coming.
But with the car park full, making it out could be harder than they thought.
Go on, easy going, man.
Don't want to pull that tyre off this first axle this side. Keep your eye on it.
They make their escape, but now the pressure is really on. Up ahead, narrow roads, tight corners, and heavy traffic will slow them down.
Sam, can you run down the road, mate, and stop the traffic coming in? Because there's loads coming up here.
Well done, mate.
While Sam clears the traffic ahead, Jamie attempts to steer this massive load through the urban maze onto the main road.
Down the other side. Oh. Could do with that white one moving. He's just pulled up in.
With 60 miles of winding roads ahead of them, meeting their delivery deadline will be a battle for Ian and the team. 130 miles north at Allalise HQ, a second team is preparing to undertake another audacious train trucking mission.
It's an old rail crane. They would be used for lifting items in and out of trains, anything that you would lift with a normal crane, but you can't get a road crane too. You use your rail cranes.
The rail crane that needs transporting resides at this Railway Heritage Centre in Crewe. It preserves and restores steam locomotives in a bid to retain Britain's railway heritage. Today, this centre's beloved, hard-working and absolutely massive rail crane is retiring from service.
I've been driving this crane for 17 years. I'm feeling a bit sad because I'm not going to be able to drive this crane anymore.
This operational giant weighs in at a staggering 120 tons, measures 26 meters long, and is capable of lifting loads of up to 50 tons. This heavyweight machine is the ultimate Swiss Army knife for railway tracks.
It was built in 1940 for the S01 railway. It was on the main line for about 65 years.
The rail crane was introduced to the railways more than 150 years ago. As locomotives grew larger and heavier, a new breed of monster machines was needed to lift and haul them. Rail cranes were used to rescue derailed locomotives and lift them up so their bogies could be overhauled. They were also used to lay tracks and help undertake crucial railway maintenance work. These enormous engineering marvels were the unsung heroes that kept the railways clear and operational. After 20 years of hard grafting, heavy lifting, this centre's 1940s rail crane is being retired. It will be replaced by a brand new mechanical crane currently under construction.
The overhead crane we're getting in the new building is even better, so this is surplus to requirement.
The old crane won't be scrapped. It needs transporting to a museum, located next door to the iconic Hornby Model Railway factory, where it will be preserved for display.
They occupied this site between 1954 and 2015. And this is where originally they did all of their manufacturing. The plan for the future here is to fill the whole of this space with classic, iconic steam and diesel locomotives and coaches, and to then open up to the public as a museum.
The rail crane will become a star attraction at the new museum and shares a unique historic connection.
The link between the rail crane and Hornby is it is this very model of crane that Hornby used to create their 1/76 scale model. So here we have the 1:1 full scale model alongside the place where the model 1/76 was built.
The train trucking team need to transport the rail crane 270 miles southeast to Margate. But with the heaviest section of the rail crane weighing a staggering 82 tons, the shortest route is not a viable option. The roads are too narrow and bridges too weak. So the team must take lengthy diversions, which will add several hours to this already monstrous journey. Heading up the trucking crew is Terry Savory. With 49 years' experience, he is the ideal man for this giant job. He will use this heavy-duty modular trailer to help pull off this monster mission.
It carries a lot more weight than what we do. There's a lot more axles. It spreads the weight on the road a lot better.
Jason Priest is on hand to help escort this 120-ton crane down south.
Hey, don't film this. This is Terry's little treasure chest.
This crane is so big, it needs transporting in 2 loads. Helping Terry is a second crew, led by Zach Bancroft.
We'll get those timbers off and get that next rail out.
The museum needs the crane on site in just 48 hours' time.
It's so heavy it has to go in 2 halves. I'll be taking the main body and Zach will be taking the jib and the wagons attached to it on the other trailer.
Loading up this giant onto 2 trailers spells double trouble. To save time, Terry has come up with an audacious plan. He aims to construct one super long loading runway. First, they must build a ramp between the rails and the first trailer. Next, they'll reverse the second trailer up to the rear of the first. The team will then winch the heavy 82-ton rail crane engine all the way onto the far trailer. This will be risky. The smallest gap or misalignment could cause the engine to jam and bring the entire operation to a halt.
You're looking pretty good there.
You're all good on the offside.
Go on, go on, go on. Okay, the back's sort of where it wants to be. Yeah, about 30 foot or so.
Okay, all good, all good.
Nice and steady now. Another foot. Hold it there. Same again. Keep coming. Keep coming. Whoa!
With the trailers lined up
Was it on it?
and ramp built, they can start to load.
Who taught you to build this ramp so good?
I did it myself, self-taught.
This steel winch cable is all that stops the 82-ton crane section from rolling back down the ramp.
Start winding in then till it lifts up off the trailer.
The wheels creep between the two trailers. They pick up the pace.
Zach, if we can go another 2 inches, 3 inches, that'll do.
It takes 2 painstaking hours to secure the first crane section onto the trailer.
Perfect.
Just as they gear up to load the second crane jib section, a storm breaks.
We'll drop this down a minute, get out of the way, put that ramp away. A little bit more involved than usual. A little bit more hard work. Can't believe this weather. It's nice, isn't it? This is wonderful weather for ducks. It's not great in the wet. You know, you risk slipping over and whacking yourself somewhere. So just got to take it nice and steady, really. There's not a lot else you can do.
It's a complex ballet to line up the second trailer. The rain makes getting the trailer onto the tracks a challenge.
The problem is it's so wet at the moment, the tyres, they won't grip on the rail, they actually slide off. You've got no steering, unfortunately. Can you get out of that?
190 miles south.
Sam, can you run down the road, mate, and stop the traffic coming in?
Ian and Jamie are battling to haul the vintage Standard 5 steam locomotive through a crammed town to reach the open road.
Right, we just come past you, Sam. Come on, move out the way.
They need to transport the engine 60 miles to the Great Dorset Steam Fair. They must arrive in less than 4 hours' time.
Yeah, have a look which way we're going out of there when we get to the bottom of this road. Is it left or right?
Time is tight. It's 1 p.m. and they want to beat tonight's rush hour traffic.
So about 3:45 should be there then. Just before rush hour.
Ian seems hopeful, having already had some good fortune.
Well, I'm glad that steering stayed working.
Yeah.
What the hell that was, don't know.
It is imperative they deliver this classic steam engine today, in time for a grand parade at the fair.
Quite a few people there watching this morning.
Yeah.
1 hour into the journey,
This old girl is struggling.
they hit a problem with the truck.
He's pulling it all, mate.
They're boosting, though.
Yeah, it's full boost. Just not got a lot of go. It's changed its down gear, and then there's nothing there.
It's just a bit where it gets steeper, the last bit as well.
Because I don't know this truck, I don't know what it's going to go like. Come on, old girl.
I can't going on here.
Something not right with this thing, definitely.
Stopping on this narrow hill will cause gridlock. And the engine will miss the grand parade.
Whatever happens, we can't stop on this hill.
In Crewe, torrential rain is making it difficult for Terry's team to line their trucks up onto the rails to load the second section of rail crane.
The rail is causing problems.
Zach lays timber under the tyres to give them extra grip on the slippery rails.
OK, keep coming.
With the truck in position, they battle the rain to winch the crane's jib arm onto the trailer.
You're just coming up now, mate. Yeah, you're on.
See it? Jib bogey wheel on now, yeah?
Bogey wheel's up.
Shall I put that back wheel just in the middle of the next two axles?
Yeah, that'll do you, mate.
Just go a little bit more to you, slowly. OK.
It's taken 4 hours to load both rail crane sections. The team have a mammoth 2-day trip ahead of them, and they haven't even left the yard.
Soaking wet and in need of some windscreen wipers.
The loading has gone perfect. Unfortunately, the weather has spoilt it.
Even my pants are wet.
The team must now drive both loads 270 miles southeast to the new museum.
Drying out slowly. I've got change, but I'm still wet. Now just comes the slow part.
To make this challenge even more difficult, heavy load drivers like Terry can only be on the road for 9 hours in a day. They must also take a break after 4.5 hours at the wheel. For Terry, the clock is ticking, but it may work in his favour.
We are going to go back towards our yard. If it's close to my running time, I'll have a shower and a bed at home. It'd be wonderful.
After 3 hours battling treacherous road conditions,
Still raining. Still, one thing, I'll have a clean truck.
Terry and Jason start to make headway, but their luck suddenly runs out.
Can't go anywhere, mate. Nightmare this is, isn't it? This person's nearly going to crash into you. Here he comes. Must be really important, they must.
They ain't got a minute to live, have they?
And there's no let up with the rain.
Hey, mate, you'll have to swim if you come through this side.
But as time runs out for Terry,
I need a 45-minute break in an hour's time.
his hopes of reaching home for a comfy overnight may come true.
I'll be so close to being home, I might be able to park it on the service area and then come back to it in the morning.
After a tough 4.5 hours on the road, the team pull into a service station near their yard. But the day isn't done yet.
We had a parking space up there, and somebody else has borrowed it now.
There's too many lorries on the road, not enough parking. And you ask people to move, just creep forward a bit. Nah, they don't want to move.
This lorry's going from here by the side of me. That's nice of him, thank you.
They're coming. Go on. Go on. Go on. We're just going to have to park here, mate. We just have to park here. In the middle there.
You've just seen the dilemma we were in trying to park here. This is a problem with parking abnormal loads. But we've got it done now. It's been a bad day. Tomorrow will be better.
Finally, Terry and Jason can get some well-earned sleep in their own beds and hope for a better day tomorrow. "200 miles south, Ian and Jamie are fighting mechanical problems with their truck to haul the 70-ton Standard 5 locomotive up a steep hill.
Okay, going on here.
Something not right with this thing, definitely.
Sheer determination powers them to the summit. Now it's full steam ahead.
Little bit squeezy tight through here.
But all this excitement is a bit too much for Jamie.
You're not sleeping again? Yeah, liar.
After a grueling 3.5 hours on the road, they are just 5 miles from their destination. But an unexpected obstacle slows them down.
He's doing that so he won't overtake him. He's riding in the road and he's riding in the middle of the road, isn't he?
With the cyclist out of the way, the team have the steam fair in their sights.
You're going to take him in here, Ray? Yeah. You're back him in?
Pull up, yeah, and then just keep it as tight over on that side as you can.
Okay. I'll do it. Yeah. Are you sure that's okay now then?
Yeah, it's all good.
The drive up was all good, except for we had a problem with the cyclist, but we have to deal with these things on the road.
For Ian and Jamie, it's mission accomplished. Alali's driver, Colin Chisnell, takes over from here.
It's a good-sized loco. It'll be impressive for the show this year.
Colin has been in charge of sourcing and exhibiting vintage steam machines here at the fair for the last 12 years.
I started bringing a train just as a static exhibit, and it's progressed from there.
This year, Colin hopes the Standard 5 locomotive will steal the show.
So the headline act is a Standard 5 in the Grand Parade. It's a big deal for everybody here.
As long as the weather holds up.
I've only had 1 year that we've not got it in. That was because of bad weather.
6:30 a.m. After a good night's rest,
It's always nice to have a nice warm shower and a lovely comfy bed.
Terry and Jason are rejuvenated and ready to haul the massive rail crane on the remaining stretch of its epic journey.
Completed all our daily checks now on the truck. We've got to set the steering up. In 5 minutes we'll be ready to leave.
The team are just 50 miles into their 270-mile trek south. They want to arrive by 4 p.m, but that could be ambitious.
Hopefully we'll be there by 4 o'clock.
Just as they attempt to pull out, a broken-down lorry blocks their path.
You move, please, mate. You can't get round. He's caught his wheels on that big high curve there. And if he can't get through, what hope have we got?
It takes all of Terry's 49 years of driving experience to snake their way out.
Go on, mate. Go on.
Clear, clear, clear.
That's as bad as I've known to park and get out of services for some time.
That was ridiculous there.
It's bad anyway, that road, but why would you park there?
You've seen all the other 40-foot nearly hitting it.
After 4 hours of pounding the motorway, Terry is due a break and he needs to park up.
Yes, mate, I'm just coming in now.
Yeah, I can see it.
With 45 minutes to spare at a service station, they try to make themselves at home.
Terry has a rest, has a cup of tea, Jason makes it, we have a walk round. I actually got to change a bulb in the back. One of the flashing lights has stopped working. I'll do that after my 45 minutes.
With 3.5 hours until their delivery deadline.
I'll have a little check of the route in a minute.
Break over, Terry and Jason put the pedal to the metal.
Shall we go for it? Can you watch Zen for me?
Yeah, you're good, mate, all good.
Watch it, idiot.
There's nearly just been a pile up behind us. Him in that wagon up here, this wagon and drag just coming by you.
At just gone 4 o'clock, Terry and the team finally pull into the new museum.
Watch it. just have to watch this transit wing mirror. You're all good at that, mate. You'll be good at that.
But now comes the tricky part. They must unload both sections of the colossal rail crane. The museum building has a raised loading bay that leads onto a set of rails. But Terry and the team have never undertaken such a big unload onto a raised platform before. They plan to reverse the load up to the platform and then lower the trailer to match its height. Next, they'll place small sections of rail in between the trailer and platform, so they can haul the rail crane smoothly off the trailer onto the rails. For this plan to succeed, they must precisely line up the trailer with the platform, or the 120-ton rail crane could get stuck.
Come on, keep going. Keep going, keep going. Come on, hold it there a sec, mate.
First up, the crane's jib section. It may be lighter, but it's super long.
You just go forward a little while.
With the chains removed and the brakes released, they hook up a forklift to pull.
Keep it going. You just get him to slow down a bit, he's pulling the winch. Rob, just gently now.
One crane section down, one much heavier piece to go.
It's going to be unloaded in exactly the same way, but because it's so heavy, until we start moving it, we won't really know what it's going to do.
It's slightly downhill, so the forklift hopefully will pull it. We'll have a winch on the other arm in case it rolls away.
Now for the moment of truth. Terry's losing a David and Goliath battle to haul the second 82-ton section of rail crane off the trailer.
Can't get over the lip.
It's caught on a small metal ridge.
The only way you're going to get over that is to get a bit of a lick on. To you.
Say when. Yeah.
Terry powers the forklift to its limits.
Right, same again. You're about a foot off the jump rail. She's rolling. Go on, Tess.
It's been stood for an awful long time, but the more it's moved, it rolled easier and easier and easier. It's perfect. Good day. Better than yesterday. A dry day. I think we'll go and have a beer tonight and something to eat, hopefully.
Over the coming months, this 1940s rail crane will be cleaned, polished, and reconstructed to sit pride of place in the museum when it opens. In Dorset, Colin is gearing up to unload the Standard 5 locomotive for display at today's steam celebration.
What we've got to attempt to do here is we've got a short panel of track. I've got to try and line up to that, and I'm only going to get one chance at this. Line it up, and then we offload onto that. But what we're doing here is not what we do every day. This is a lot harder.
Colin needs to unload the engine onto a special section of display track that sits on uneven ground. This will be no simple task. The team must build a reinforced ramp in line with the track to reduce the impact of the uneven surface. Then, they need to pull the engine carefully to transition smoothly down the ramp onto the track. There's just one problem. The display track is raised above the ground. If the ramp doesn't connect flawlessly, this last stage could spell the end of the line for this fragile locomotive.
Apprehensive, but you just have to close your eyes.
Building up the ramp is hard work on this uneven field.
Straight as you were, that's it, on that block, see?
Colin's 14-year-old son, Kieran, lends a hand.
Go round them all one more time. The ground's all uneven. We're just trying to pack the ramp as level as we can. It's not easy. It's heavy work, heavy lifting. And as you can see from my son, you get covered in grease.
With the ramp built,
right, leave it there.
they unshackle the engine.
Lay this chain down first. That's it, pick that up, lay that on top. Just watch it over each joint.
And start the unload.
I'm watching the packing as well to make sure the packing's not moving. What I'm looking for is to make sure that it follows the track. We're also watching the springs as well. Rolling quite well.
Gravity can only take this 70-ton giant so far.
Right, that's it. Took a little bit longer than I thought, but hey, we got there in the end.
The vintage engine draws the crowds as today's celebrations kick off.
You know, you see it in old movies and things, and it just looks so much more exciting.
After a few hours on display, it's time for the Grand Steam Parade.
Tell me when I'm clear.
It's all clear now, mate. All good.
And the crowds are absolutely chuffed.
There's engines here that paths would have crossed over their careers, and we're still crossing paths with them today, so I find that quite magical.
Oh, it's awesome, isn't it? Just the atmosphere here, and you know, it's hard to put in one word. Everywhere you look, you know, there's thousands of people here today. It's brilliant.
The Grand Parade is a huge success. This once unloved and abandoned classic locomotive has stirred joy at the festival. One day, it may even return to the tracks and run again under its own steam.